Three, two, one, here we go. Rainman's Take podcast. Observations on the world we live in. My take on current events and other topics of interest. Also interviews with some really cool people. So let's get the conversation going. Hey, everybody, it's the Rain Man with another raindrop for you today. What I want to talk about is an experience I had yesterday doing some energy healing. And if you don't remember, early on, this was probably episode in the mid-20s, I interviewed a friend of mine, Steve Bell, who is a practitioner in shamanism. And Steve has his own business, and it's called The Sacred Truth, www.thesacredtruth.com. And he does guided energy healing sessions. And I wanted to talk about that because I found it fascinating and a very enjoyable experience, and something I think you guys might be interested in hearing about. So, first of all, why did I do it? Well, as you all know, ever since 9/11, I've pretty much have been questioning everything. All the things that I grew up as anchors in my world, religion, grew up Roman Catholic, up and went every week to church up until I was in college, through sports, through in the military, and just my view of the government in general. Growing up, all those things, I was just kind of in lockstep with anything I was told, the dogmas of your religion, how you're supposed to behave in society, all of those things that our society instills upon its citizens. Well, up until 9/11, that's how I was. And then afterwards, I basically started questioning everything. Nothing was as it seemed anymore. And the more I read, the more I realized that a lot of these things are missing half of the story. And it's those other pieces of information that are out there that are not part of mainstream religious dogma or just mainstream narrative are completely overlooked. And in my view, as I grow and as I learn more, that is to our detriment as human beings. So as I've read more and I've learned more and I've just been exposed to more, I realized that there are certain things in this world that I want to know more about. And one in particular is this whole concept of we're all made of energy. The world is energy, and we're all interacting with these energy sources all the time. It's just that most of us have these layers of society on us, religion, the dogma, in my case of the Roman Catholic Church, that anything outside of that religious dogma is paganism, is the devil, etc. So when I interviewed Steve originally, we were talking about that, the whole interconnectivity of the world, of the universe, of human beings and our energy fields. If you remember in that interview, we talked a lot about the quantum theory and the quantum point theory, and just how our energy interacts, whether we know it or not, with everything else around us. So everything is connected at an energetic level. So that was the reason why I wanted to do one of these energy clearing sessions with Steve at his practice. Again, the www.thesacredtruth.com. And so I went over to his property, and before I start, I just want to explain to you where we were on his property. And this structure is just unbelievable. Ever since he finished it, I've just been amazed by the thing. So the owner before them had a cistern. I assume the original intent was to collect water, like a water well. And this thing is basically about 12 feet in diameter and about 10 to 14 feet below the surface of the ground. So you are underground inside of this concrete cylinder. Well, up until about a year and a half or 2 years ago, that was filled almost to the top with just decades and decades of garbage and just other trash that the previous owners had accumulated the time that they owned that property. And Steve basically made it a year challenge to clean that thing out. And he did, cleaned out all of the garbage out of it, cleaned it up, and really, really made this thing an amazing space, to include a beautiful stained wooden ceiling with a cap, an Oculus cap that you can take off, and the sun beams down, and it's just a really, really magical place. So that's where this energy healing session started. And before we got into the well, Steve sat me down and pretty much asked me, "Hey, what it is that you want to accomplish today?" And really, I was going in. What I told him first and foremost was, I've got a completely open mind to this. I have no idea about this sort of thing, about the whole connectivity of energy sources and with your surroundings, with nature. I have no idea about any of that, and I just want to learn. I just want to understand what it feels like, and so I just wanted to see if I even had the capability to be able to experience that higher level of sort of energetic connection with my surroundings, and I based that question of whether or not I even had the ability to do that based on how I grew up, and that all of the reading that I've done about the Catholic Church and the suppression of all those quote unquote pagan religions where the people before Christ all had some level of connection with their world around them, with the universe around them. And then that seems, over the last 2,000 years, seems to have been sort of beaten out of people, so to speak, and especially people in the Catholic Church. So when growing up, when I hear things like the Native Americans and the shamans and the South American shamans that live in the jungles, I always thought they were just these basically savage pagan people that had no idea what was going on. And in fact, that's actually completely opposite of what's going on. And you see a lot of this. You hear a lot about, the Indian ceremony of taking peyote, or the South American shaman experience of ayahuasca. Those are all chemicals that interact with the body to help you open up to the energy fields, the energy sources around you. I'm not there yet to try one of those things. So I wanted to do it with Steve. And Steve, like I said, is a shaman practitioner. And so we started. So the first thing was, why do you want to do this? I explained it to him. And then the second thing was, he kind of explained what he was going to be doing. And then kind of what I could anticipate if I was going to be open enough to let different energy fields sort of interact with me. Call them spirits, call them feelings, whatever you want to call them. He explained that there was going to be some interaction with something that doesn't happen necessarily normally. You have to go through a process or a ritual to get into the space in your body and in your energy where you can actually be ready to accept that into your being. So if you had offered this to me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I probably would have giggled. But now, based on the stuff that I've been reading, I actually was really excited to see if I had that innate capability of doing that. So once we kind of had set up our what I wanted to accomplish in there and what I was hoping to accomplish, we went into the well, and sort of the ritual, the energy clearing ritual, started before we got to the space as we were kind of walking through the property to get to the well. And it's just these are the things that he's been training, the Andean shamanistic practice. And so there was a lot of a lot of hymns and chanting and incense and other herbs, just to kind of get the ritual started. So we get in, go down the ladder into the well. And like I said, it's just this beautiful, special place. And get down there, and the first thing he says was, hey, I was kind of down here earlier. I was doing some sort of prep exercises down here, and I think that there is a lot of energy down here. And asked me if I could feel it. And the first thing I noticed was I was on the bottom of the well, and he's got a very nice kind of dirt padded down dirt floor, and kind of standing right in the middle of it. Like I said, it was a 12-foot diameter cylinder, and basically from my knees down, all the hairs on my legs were standing up. You could just feel that there was kind of a buzzing at that level down around a foot off of the floor. And I thought that was pretty wild. And so then he basically goes back up the ladder to the door, and shuts the door and closes the inner door. And we are literally pitch black. Like my eyes are open, and I couldn't see my hand if it was 6 inches in front of my face. So it is pitch black, and I'm standing there in the center of the room, and just kind of standing there with my arms hanging down casually on my along my sides. And Steve starts the process of chanting. There's some playing of flutes and some drum work, and just kind of really gets a really interesting rhythm going. And this is something that he explained might happen. And I was kind of, like I said, I was just open to the entire experience, and just being down in a black as ink environment was pretty wild in and of itself. But as soon as he started chanting and playing the instruments, the only way I could describe it was, from the periphery, there was a large purple orb that sort of came completely into my my visual in front of me. And as it came around, it started moving away from my head until it formed a perfect sphere as it sort of slowly moved away from me. And as he's playing these instruments and there's sort of a rhythm going, these purple orbs just started to kind of pulse out every few seconds out of my periphery, and then out into the blackness. They weren't completely crystal clear in terms of a circle, but I knew they were a circle. It was almost as if I was looking at a fuzzy purple ball in front of me. So the edges weren't really crystal clear. There was a little bit fuzzy on the edges, but coming from behind my ears into my periphery, in front of my face, forms an orb and just shoots off until it disappears. So there was a sense of perception and depth perception, to the point where I did not feel like we were sitting or standing in a cylinder that was 12 feet in diameter. Those things were leaving, and it almost felt like there was no boundaries. And it was however, I also felt like my feet were firmly on the ground. So it was just a really, really cool vibe. And so when we got done with that, that was really the main takeaway for me for that day, was just the fact that I was able to kind of experience that almost that concept of being in just outer space with no light except for those orbs. And afterwards, after I think this lasted maybe 5 or 10 minutes, he sort of asked me what I was feeling, and I told him about that. And he's like, "Yeah, that's actually amazing that you felt that way. That's exactly what we were going for." And so it was really, really cool. And to be perfectly honest with you, when I first thought about scheduling this appointment with Steve, the first couple of things that popped in my head was, am I going to get claustrophobic in that thing? Jet black in the bottom of a 12-foot diameter tube. Am I not going to be able to do it? Is it just going to be a waste of time? Am I not going to be able to connect? So all those things were kind of in my mind, and I forced myself to really walk in there as a blank slate and just kind of see what the experience is all about. So the remaining portion of the evolution was a lot of other energy clearing, shamanistic exercises. again, a lot of chanting, a lot of work with candlelight and that sort of thing. And that part of it obviously comes from his training and his ability to kind of prepare, if that's the right word, his ability to, through those chants and through the musical instruments, he was able to prepare the energy sources that were in that area and then my energy fields to interact. That's really the only way I can explain it. So it was a really, really powerful exercise. And when I got done, I just felt it was really neat. And what I kind of the biggest takeaway from that experience is the fact that I have the ability as a energy source or an energy field to open up enough to be able to interact with other energy sources around me. And again, like I mentioned earlier, we go through our daily lives, the vast majority of us, just trucking right along. We get up when the alarm clock goes off, we go to work, and we're just doing our thing. We're in our routine, and you don't necessarily notice what's going on in the world around you. And so maybe the success of this evolution was my ability to stop, dump it all, and just experience what it was to have kind of an open energy field for the energy around me to interact with. One of the big questions I sort of have for myself, and next time I talk to Steve, I'll probably ask him is, what do I do with this newfound ability? Now, I probably don't think I could get myself into that state by myself. That obviously comes with years of training, and Steve has been doing this for years. And even if I could, what would that be for? What would I use that for, other than what I personally think the end state is the ability to connect at a completely different level, call it a completely different dimension, whatever you want to call it, an ability to connect with the energy around us. And obviously the earth is pumping out just tremendous amounts of energy. So the ability to just kind of take a step back and be able to interact with that at that base level, I found that fascinating. And, that's what a lot of these histories of these ancient religions and these ancient cultures, and even the modern cultures right now, the South American population, the Indians that live in the Amazon basin and other parts of South America, the Native Americans that live here in the United States, all have these ancient rituals where they interact at that level above a normal conscious level with their surroundings. So, overall, I thought it was a really, really neat experience. I would highly recommend it to anybody who's interested. I will probably do that again. If you want to try Steve Bell, it's www.thesacredtruth.com. And if you're in San Diego, I would recommend you look him up. But it was really cool. And so I just wanted to pass that on. This is coming from a guy, like I said, who grew up just kind of doing exactly what I was told through the church, through my family, through the military arts, and didn't necessarily interact subconscious level thing that was going on around me. But over the last 20 years, I've learned a ton. And this was just one more step in that process. So, this is the Rain Man. Thanks for watching. I just wanted to kind of give you my take on a shaman energy clearing session that I did yesterday. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Take care. Thanks for watching Rain Man's Take, observations on the world we live in. If you like the content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. You can also follow Rain Man's Take on Instagram at Rain Man's Take. Also, check out our website at www.rainmanstakepodcast.com and send your comments to rainmanstake@gmail.com. Keep an eye out for future podcasts, which will be coming out every Thursday at 5 p.m. West Coast time.